Welcome to the Frail Blaze. Our story today. I think there's something wrong with me. You know those voices? Those voices that tell you things and make you see things? Things that you don't want to see. Imaginary scenarios ending in disaster. Or that small sense of doubt in your mind. Everyone lives with it. Some choose to ignore it, whilst others, like myself, we just don't act. We don't push it out. We don't ignore it. We let them speak, but we don't fully listen to it. It was just 2 days ago that these thoughts were nothing more than just that. Thoughts. I was working on a picture of mine in my living room, and all I could hear was what I always hear.
Something's wrong. It's not good enough. That'll never work. It's not the right color. Your mind is broken, just like your perception.
Just the average thoughts one hears every time they do something. The doubt, over and over again. Getting tired of my mind being itself, I left the drawing unfinished and went to my bedroom. I stopped when I heard a knocking on my door. I opened it, and there on my porch was an envelope. I observed the letter, and I picked it up. There was no name, no address, nothing. Now I know what you're thinking. Don't tell me you opened that envelope. Well, I did. I opened the envelope and pulled out a letter and a vial. Wasn't much written on it, just a phrase in Latin, I'm guessing. Quid si quod, intus erat, foris venit? I don't understand Latin, nor do I know anyone who does, so I assumed the letter probably wasn't for me. So I placed the letter in a different envelope, and I resealed it. Then I placed it on my table, unsure of what to do with it from that point. I would probably keep it at home. I couldn't take it anywhere else. I had no address, so I couldn't return it to anywhere. I looked at the vial. It had some black liquid reading, "Drink me." I don't know why, but I opened it and took a sip out of the vial. Like, it felt like I had no control over myself. I just opened it. The next thing you know, I had drank the whole thing. It felt like something heavy was going down my throat, and it tasted metallic. I just looked at the empty vial, placed it on the table, and walked to my bathroom. I looked at my reflection in the mirror, expecting to see only me. But I saw someone else in the mirror, someone right behind me, staring at me as if through the mirror. A tall man wearing a trench coat and a fedora hat was standing in my shower. He was wearing a smiling mask on his face that looked like it had been bolted on, and he had blonde hair under this hat. He was bent over and looking right at me. I jumped, shocked at the unknown man in my shower. He didn't speak to me. Rather, he walked up to me, walking out of my shower and right up in front of me. He loomed over me, making me feel very uncomfortable. "Hey, what the fuck are you doing in my house?" I asked, trying not to sound scared. The man looked down at me before grabbing my shoulders. I didn't notice how long his arms were earlier. They were all the way down his body and touching the ground. I almost didn't notice the white gloves he was wearing on his hands. I mean, who would care about such a detail? This man was in my house. He was trespassing. Then he spoke. His voice I can't describe.
You are broken, child. It's not right. I can fix you. We can fix you.
He pulls me close to him, and I couldn't move. I couldn't even shout. Just as I was trying to struggle, I felt myself sinking into this man's body. Whatever this man was, there was no way that he was human. After I was halfway into falling into his body, I blacked out. I remember waking up in, I don't know, somewhere, some inky black space. I just felt as if I was floating. I saw two figures looking down at me. One was the man I saw prior, and the other was someone else, but he had an unkempt beard and a fancy suit, top hat and everything. He too was smiling, but this was a real smile, not a mask. I could see his pale face. And then it was morning, and I woke up feeling dizzy. I felt as if I was drunk. I got up to see that same man in the trench coat thing person staring at me. I tried to think, tried to hear my thoughts, but I couldn't. I couldn't hear the very voices inside my own head. Then I heard something, but not from myself, from the man standing above me.
Time to get up. Time for another day of this mundane life.
He said, as if he was part of me, speaking from my perspective. His voice sounded the same, but with a mixture of my own mixed in, as if my thoughts were alive. I sat for a moment, confused at this circumstance, and the man grabbed my wrist, dragged me out of bed. Scraping my hand and legs on the bed frame, I screamed in pain, tried to fight him off, but his grip was strong as he pulled me into my closet. I sat up. I looked at my legs. They were scratched from all the dragging.
Another day, another horrible outfit for myself,
he said as he stared down at me. I quickly got dressed, not wanting this man to do anything else. I looked in the mirror.
Am I really leaving the house in this horrible mess?
The man said before grabbing me and dragging me through the hallways, making me bump into shelves and picture frames. He dragged me to my desk and pointed to the unfinished picture.
Might as well get this over with while it's early,
the man said as he sat me on my chair, grabbed my hand, started to move my hand around to make me draw lines on my picture.
It's so bad. I'm doing such a horrible job. I call this art,
the man said as he continued to force my hand to draw on the paper. I tried to fight against him, but that seemed to piss him off, and he banged my head on the table.
I'm such a moron, always hurting myself,
the man said as he lifted my head off of my desk. I saw a small puddle of blood forming from my nose. That was several hours ago. He's still here, and I don't know how to get rid of him. He's been dragging me all over my house, and kind of making me do things that I usually do, but in such a violent manner. I've locked myself in my room. He's screaming at me, trying to break down the door. The door is going to give away soon. I'm covered in scratches, scrapes, and bruises. I'm surprised that I don't have any broken bones yet. I'm in pain, but I'm not scared. I don't know why. What do I do? Does anyone else have this problem too? A curious tale, that one. Narrator's integrity may be in question. But let me know what you think of it in the comments beneath. And if you liked this story, feel free to like it as well. I do hope you'll join me in the future for more Frail Plays Tales.